Welcome to my channel English Achievement. If you like my video, please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have you ever wondered why some people remember everything so easily? Names, ideas, lessons, even small details, while you forget things even after hearing them just a few minutes ago. If you feel this way, you're not alone. Many people think that memory is something fixed, something you are born with, something that cannot change. But here is the truth that most people never learn. Memory is not a gift. It is a skill. And like all skills, it can be trained, improved, and strengthened. Today, I am going to share something very interesting with you. A simple memory technique that can slowly transform the way you learn, the way you think, and the way you move through the world. And trust me, once you understand this technique, you will start using your memory like a tool, not like a weakness. Let me begin with something powerful. Imagine a person who changes his entire life by improving only one thing: his memory. He doesn't become smarter overnight. He doesn't suddenly know more than everyone else. But because he remembers what he learns, he becomes more confident, more focused, and more successful. Memory becomes his superpower. Today, that superpower can become yours too. And in this video, I will show you step by step how to build that strong memory, even if you think you have a weak one right now. Most people never talk about this. Schools teach you subjects, but they never teach you how to remember those subjects. Teachers give you information but never give you techniques to keep that information inside your mind. So you grow up thinking that forgetting is your fault, that your mind is not good enough, that other people are smarter. But the truth is much simpler. Nobody trained you. You never learned how to use your memory properly. But today that changes. In the next few minutes, I will share 7 powerful techniques that can increase your memory step by step. These techniques are simple, easy to use, and effective for everyone. Students, workers, parents, and anyone who wants a better mind. They are written in a simple graded reader style, so you can understand every idea clearly even if you are still growing your English skills. So sit back, relax, and give yourself this moment, because by the end of this script you will think differently, remember differently, and live differently. Technique 1. Focus on one thing at a time. Your memory does not fail because it is weak. It fails because your mind is constantly overloaded. Most people today are living in a world filled with noise. Messages, notifications, small thoughts, big worries, past regrets, future plans, long to-do lists, and endless distractions. Your mind is trying to do too many things at the same time, and because of that it cannot give full attention to anything. You might be reading a message while your thoughts wander somewhere else. You might be listening to someone speak while thinking about the next task on your list. You might be studying with your phone beside you, vibrating every few minutes. All these small interruptions make your mind busy but unfocused. And here is the simple truth that most people ignore. A busy mind cannot remember. Only a focused mind can. Think of your mind like a camera. If the camera moves too much, the picture becomes blurry. It does not matter how expensive the camera is. Movement destroys clarity. But when the camera stays still and focuses on one point, even for a short moment, the picture becomes sharp and clear. In the same way, even if you have a good brain, constant mental movement blurs your memory. The ability to focus on one thing at a time is what brings sharpness back into your thoughts. Imagine pouring water into a cup with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much water you pour, it keeps leaking out. That is exactly what multitasking does to your memory. You may read the same sentence 3 times and still not remember it. You may hear someone's name and forget it the next second. You may learn a new idea, but it slips away as soon as you switch to something else. Multitasking creates holes in your attention. And when attention leaks, memory cannot stay inside. But when you give your mind just one thing, one idea, one task, one moment, It becomes like a cup without holes. It can hold information easily. So how? Do you use this technique in daily life? It is simpler than you think. Whenever you want to remember something, anything, stop for a moment and give it your full presence. Look at the information, feel it, repeat it, listen carefully. Read slowly. Just 10 seconds of complete attention can improve your memory more than 10 minutes of half-focused learning. Your brain needs silence around the idea. You want to remember. Not silence from the outside world, but silence inside your mind. Even if your surroundings are noisy, your attention can be quiet. Here is something powerful you may not know. The moment you fully focus on something, your brain starts building a memory path. It begins to create connections. It says, "This is important. I should store this." But when your attention is divided, your brain does not know what to store. It receives information like small broken pieces. And because the pieces do not fit together, they cannot form a memory. This is why people who practice mindfulness often have strong memories. They train their minds to stay in the present moment. They train their minds to focus on one thing. You can do the same without becoming a monk or practicing meditation for hours. Simply do one task at a time. When you walk, just walk. When you read, just read. When you listen, just listen. When you study, put your phone away and stay with your book or your lesson. The mind becomes stronger when it is trained to stay still. You can practice this technique every day in small ways. When someone tells you their name, look at their face and repeat the name in your mind. Do not think of anything else. When you learn a new word, say it slowly. Look at it carefully and understand its meaning. When someone gives you instructions, listen without planning your reply at the same time. When you read something important, pause after each sentence and let your mind breathe for a second. This tiny pause creates space for memory. If you want to improve your memory, one of the best habits is to remove distractions when learning. You do not have to eliminate all distractions forever. Just remove them for a few minutes when you want to remember something. Put your phone on silent. Close unnecessary tabs. Sit in a quiet place or even just sit still. Let your thoughts slow down. When the mind is calm, memory grows naturally. Focus is the doorway to memory. Every piece of information you want to remember must pass through that door. If the door is open, memory enters. If the door is blocked by distractions, nothing enters. When your focus becomes strong, your memory becomes powerful. And when your memory becomes powerful, your confidence begins to rise. You start trusting your mind. You start believing in your ability to learn. You begin to feel control over your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. This is the first key to a stronger mind. Master focus and you will master your memory. Technique 2. Visualize everything. If words are difficult to remember, pictures are easy. Your brain is not designed to store long strings of sentences. It is designed to store images, shapes, colors, and scenes. This is why you can remember a person's face even after 5 years. But you may forget their name after 5 minutes. This is why you remember a place you visited once, yet forget the detailed instructions someone told you yesterday. Your brain loves pictures because pictures are natural. They stick inside your mind like paint on a canvas. Words disappear, but images stay. Visualization is the art of turning information into images. It is like creating a small movie inside your mind. When you visualize something, you are not only using memory, you are using creativity, imagination, and emotion. Together, this combination makes information 10 times stronger. For example, if you want to remember the word mountain, do not sit there repeating mountain, mountain, mountain like a robot. That method is painful and usually useless. Instead, close your eyes for 2 seconds and imagine a tall, strong mountain right in front of you. Feel the cold wind brushing your face. Feel yourself standing at the bottom of the mountain, looking up at its huge height. Feel the strength of the rocks and the silence around it. The moment you create this picture, the word mountain becomes alive inside your mind. It becomes a memory that stays. You can use visualization with anything: vocabulary, ideas, lessons, phone, numbers, instructions, and especially names. For example, if someone's name is Rose, imagine a bright red rose next to their face. If someone's name is John, imagine them holding a giant key because John sounds like jawing. Or imagine something simple that connects with the name. If you want to remember an address, imagine walking down the road. Imagine the buildings, the colors of the houses, the shape of the door, and the number written on the gate. The more details you add to your mental picture, the easier it becomes to remember. Visualization changes learning from passive to active. Many people read or listen without engaging their mind, and that is why they forget quickly. When you visualize, you make your brain participate. You create energy in your learning. You bring the information to life. It becomes something that belongs to you, not something outside of you. That small mental picture becomes a memory anchor. Here is the powerful truth about visualization. The more emotional the image, the stronger the memory becomes. If the picture you create is funny, dramatic, colorful, surprising, scary, or exciting, your brain will lock it in almost instantly. That is why children learn so quickly. They imagine everything. When they hear a story, they see it clearly in their minds. They feel the characters. They picture the scenes. They add colors, images, sounds, even emotions. Their imagination is active, and that is why their memory feels so natural. As adults, most people stop imagining. They fill their minds with responsibilities, work, stress, and serious thinking. They forget how to create pictures. They forget how to dream. And when imagination disappears, memory becomes more difficult. That is why you must bring imagination back into your daily learning. You must train your mind to create pictures quickly. Even if the picture is simple or strange, it will help your brain remember. Visualization works because it uses the brain's natural language. The brain communicates through images, not words. When you give your brain what it understands, remembering becomes easy. When you force your brain to memorize dry information, it struggles. So, instead of reading something again and again, pause and imagine it. Instead of repeating a word repeatedly, picture it. Instead of trying to memorize a list, turn each item into a visual story. For example, if you have to remember 5 items: apple, keys, book, bottle, and jacket, create a small movie in your mind. Imagine yourself holding a huge apple, and then the apple transforms into a giant key. Then the key opens a book that floats in the air. The book then turns into a bottle, and the bottle pours water onto your jacket. The more ridiculous the story is, the better you remember it. Visualization makes learning fun. It makes memory natural, and it gives you control over your mind in a way most people never experience. Once you practice this technique daily, even for a few minutes, you will notice your memory becoming sharper, faster, and more reliable. You will remember details that others forget. You will understand better, and you will learn anything with confidence. Visualization is not just a memory technique. It is a mental superpower. The more you use it, the stronger your mind becomes. Technique 3. Use repetition the smart way. Repetition is one of the oldest, simplest, and most powerful memory techniques known to humans. It has been used for thousands of years by scholars, monks, teachers, and learners of every age. But here is the interesting truth. Most people use repetition the wrong way. They repeat information again and again in one sitting, hoping it will stay in their mind. They read the same page several times in 1 hour. They practice a new word 10 times in 1 minute. They rewrite something repeatedly in the same moment and still they forget everything after a few hours. The problem is not repetition itself. The problem is the way repetition is used. Your brain does not like continuous repetition. It likes spaced repetition. Spaced repetition means reviewing information after increasing time gaps. It is a smart method, not a forceful one. If you learn something now, review it after 10 minutes, then after 1 hour, then after 1 day, then after 3 days, then after 1 week, then after 2 weeks. Each time you review the information, your brain becomes more convinced that this information is useful, important, and worth storing. This method strengthens the memory slowly but powerfully. It builds layers. It creates a deep memory path inside your brain that does not fade easily. Why does spaced repetition work so well? Because your brain remembers things that appear repeatedly over time. Imagine hearing someone's name once. You will probably forget it. But imagine hearing that same name again the next day, then again the next week, then again the next month. Without even trying, you will remember it. Your brain learns by frequency and by time. When you review information with space between each review, your brain says this information keeps returning. It must be important. And once your brain decides something is important, it stores it in long-term memory automatically. This technique is extremely effective for language learning, vocabulary, facts, formulas, dates, lessons, speeches, daily tasks, or anything you want to remember for a long time. If you want to remember a list of words, look at them today, then review them tomorrow. If you want to remember a phone number, repeat it now and again later in the day. If you want to remember a new lesson, speak it out loud again after a few hours. These small spaced reviews are much more powerful than long continuous study sessions. Think of your brain like a gym. If you lift a heavy weight 20 times in 1 minute, your muscles do not grow very much. But if you lift that weight once every day for 2 weeks, your muscles grow stronger over time. The same is true for memory. Repetition is the exercise your brain needs, but the exercise must be done in intervals, not all at once. You cannot force your brain to remember through pressure. You train it through repetition over time. Many great thinkers, leaders, and learners use repetition without shame. They understand that repeating something does not mean you are slow. It means you are smart. Repetition builds mastery. Repetition creates skill. The greatest musicians repeat notes. The greatest athletes repeat movements. The greatest speakers repeat lines, and the greatest learners repeat ideas until they become part of their thinking. That is how excellence is built. You can start using spaced repetition in many easy ways. If you want to remember something important from a book, read the key lines again tomorrow. If you are learning English vocabulary, choose 5 words and repeat them in the morning, afternoon, and evening. If you want to remember a list, rewrite it the next morning. If you want to remember a new idea, speak it out loud after a few hours. These short reviews take almost no time, but the impact on your memory is huge. The best part is that spaced repetition reduces stress. When you know you will review the information later, you do not have to force yourself to memorize it perfectly right now. You can learn calmly. You can learn slowly. You can learn with confidence. Your brain relaxes because it knows that learning is a process, not a one-time event. Over time, spaced repetition becomes a habit. You will naturally start reviewing things in your mind. You will remember without effort. You will keep information longer. You will feel your mind becoming stronger and more organized. And you will realize that forgetting is not a sign of weakness. It's simply a sign that your brain needs more space to practice. Repetition is not boring. It is training. It is the path that turns information into knowledge and knowledge into mastery. When you use repetition the smart way, you give your mind the chance to grow. You give your memory the chance to strengthen. And slowly you build a mind that can hold information with ease and confidence. Technique 4. Teach what you learn. There is a simple but powerful truth about learning. You learn something twice when you teach it once. This technique might sound too easy, almost like a shortcut, but it is one of the most effective ways to strengthen your memory. The reason it works is that teaching forces your brain to organize information clearly and meaningfully. When you try to explain a concept, your brain cannot rely on vague impressions or half-understood ideas. It must process the information deeply, make sense of it, and structure it logically. And when your brain understands something deeply, it is much less likely to forget it. Teaching transforms knowledge from something passive, something you simply hear or read, into something active, alive, and permanent. Teaching does not mean you need to become a professional teacher or stand in front of a classroom. You can teach a friend, a sibling, a parent, or even your pet. You can speak to an empty room, record your voice, or write explanations in a notebook. The person listening is almost irrelevant. What matters is the act of explaining. When you explain an idea in your own words, your brain must process it fully. It creates mental connections, fills in missing details, and strengthens the memory network in your mind. Even talking aloud to yourself while explaining a lesson can be incredibly powerful. The act of teaching forces your brain to translate abstract ideas into understandable language, which is exactly what memory loves. When you teach, your thoughts become organized. Random facts and scattered ideas slowly fall into place. Your brain moves information from short-term memory to long-term memory. A single reading of a lesson might only give your mind a temporary impression. But when you explain it, that information is reinforced and stored in a way that is resistant to forgetting. This is why many successful students, learners, and even professionals use teaching as a core part of their study strategy. They read once, then immediately try to explain the material. And because they do, they remember it for weeks, months, or even years. The brain treats information differently when you teach. It says, "This is important. I must store this permanently." You can use this technique with anything. If you are learning English vocabulary, explain each new word to someone else. Describe what it means. Use it in a sentence and make a short story with it. If you are learning a formula in mathematics, explain the steps and why each step works. If you are learning history, tell the story of an event as if someone asked you to teach it. The key is clarity. Speak slowly, clearly, and simply. Imagine that your listener has never heard the information before. This forces your brain to leave nothing vague, to clarify every detail, and to make the knowledge stick. Another benefit of teaching is that it reveals gaps in your understanding. Often, we think we understand something until we try to explain it. Suddenly we notice missing pieces, confusing parts, or ideas that do not make sense. This is not failure. It is opportunity. Once you identify gaps, your brain can focus on filling them. This strengthens memory even more because you are not just memorizing blindly. You are learning consciously. Each time you teach, you refine your knowledge, reinforce your memory, and deepen your understanding. You can practice this technique every day. After learning something new, imagine someone asks you to explain it. Speak aloud if you can, or write it down. Break it into simple steps. Use examples, stories, or visual images. The act of teaching is also a confidence booster. You begin to trust your mind more. You realize that you can understand, explain, and remember things. Teaching not only strengthens memory but also builds self-belief, which makes learning easier in the future. The magic of teaching is that it makes memory active instead of passive. Most people try to remember by reading or listening quietly, but that is only half of learning. Teaching forces the brain to retrieve information, process it, and use it creatively. Retrieval strengthens memory far more than passive exposure. Every time you teach, you repeat this process. Over time, your mind becomes like a well-organized library where every fact, word, or concept has its place and can be recalled instantly. So, start today. After you learn something new, explain it. Speak it, write it, or even imagine explaining it. Teach it to someone real or imaginary. You will notice that your memory becomes sharper. Your understanding becomes clearer and your mind feels stronger. Teaching is one of the simplest, most natural, and most powerful techniques to remember anything, and it is available to you right now. Technique 5. Connect new information to what you already know. Memory is not just about storing information. It is about creating connections. Your brain does not work like a simple storage box where you place facts, words, or dates. Instead, memory is like a vast network of ideas where each piece of information is linked to many others. The more connections you create, the stronger your memory becomes and the easier it is to recall what you have learned. If you try to remember something in isolation without linking it to anything familiar, it is likely to vanish quickly. But if you attach it to something you already know, it will stick naturally and effortlessly. Think of your memory like a giant spiderweb. Each thread in the web represents a connection. When one point in the web is connected to another, the structure becomes stronger, more stable, and able to hold more weight. If a new piece of information has no connection, it is like a thread dangling loosely in the air. It may fall or be forgotten easily. But when you connect it to a familiar idea, a memory, or an experience, it becomes part of the web. It has support. It has meaning. And because it has meaning, your brain is more likely to store it in long-term memory. For example, if you want to remember the English word generous, do not just repeat it mechanically. Instead, link it to a story in your life. Perhaps someone recently helped you without expecting anything in return. Picture that person's face, the act they did, and how it made you feel. Or perhaps recall a moment when you helped someone and felt proud. By connecting the word generous to an emotional experience, you make it vivid and memorable. Your brain naturally remembers stories and emotions far better than abstract words. The same principle works with dates, formulas, or lessons. If you want to remember a historical date, connect it to an event that is familiar, even if it is from your own life. If you want to understand a scientific concept, attach it to a real-world example or something you've already learned. Every connection reinforces memory. Your brain loves patterns, stories, and relationships. That is how it naturally organizes information. When you discover a pattern or link a new idea to what you already know, your mind treats it as meaningful, important, and worth storing. This is why experts in any field learn so quickly. They already have thousands of mental connections built from years of study and experience. When a new idea comes along, they do not need to start from scratch. They simply attach it to existing knowledge. It becomes instantly understandable and memorable. The more connections you have, the faster your memory grows and the easier it becomes to learn new things. You can do the same. Every time you learn something new, take a moment to ask yourself simple questions. What does this remind me of? Is this similar to something I already know? How can I connect this to my life? These questions might seem small, but they work like magic. Each answer creates a new thread in your mental web. Even abstract ideas can become vivid when linked to real life experiences. Every connection strengthens the memory, making it more likely to stay with you for a long time. It is not about memorizing harder. It is about memorizing smarter. For example, if you are learning a new English word like resilient, think about a time in your life when you faced difficulty and bounced back. Connect the word to your experience. Or if you are learning a math formula, relate it to a problem you solved recently. If you are studying history, connect events to stories you know or people you admire. Each connection makes the information easier to recall because your brain already has a network of ideas ready to attach it to. With practice, your mind becomes like a well-organized, powerful network. Each new idea finds its place easily. You begin to notice patterns more quickly, learn faster, and remember better. Memory stops being a struggle and becomes a natural process. By connecting new information to what you already know, you give your brain a map. You give your mind a system that makes learning faster, easier, and more enjoyable. This simple approach transforms how you learn, how you remember, and ultimately, how powerful your mind can become. Technique 6. Use the memorypalace method. The memorypalace method is one of the most famous and powerful memory techniques in the world. It is used by memory champions, students, professionals, and even everyday people who want to improve their memory. The method may sound complicated at first, but it is actually very simple and beginner-friendly. The basic idea is to turn a familiar place, most often your home, into a mental map where you can store and recall information easily. Your mind naturally remembers locations, spaces, and paths far better than abstract words or numbers. The memorypalace method uses this natural ability to make your memory nearly unstoppable. To begin, imagine walking through your house in your mind. Picture the front door, the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, and any other rooms you know well. These places are safe, familiar, and easy to visualize. You already have a mental image of them, which makes them perfect for memory work. The next step is to associate the information you want to remember with different locations in your house. Think of your home as a map where each room, object, or corner becomes a storage spot for specific memories. By placing information in specific locations, you are not just memorizing. It becomes part of a mental journey that is natural and fun. For example, if you want to remember a list of items, place the first item at your front door. Imagine it clearly and dramatically so. It sticks. Maybe the first item is apple, so you picture a giant apple blocking your door. The second item could be key, and you imagine a huge key hanging from the ceiling in your living room. The third item might be book, and you picture a stack of books spilling over your kitchen counter. Each item is connected to a specific, familiar place. Your brain remembers spaces easily. So, when you mentally walk through your house, you can recall each item effortlessly. The beauty of the memorypalace method is that it combines imagination, visualization, and spatial memory. You are not just trying to memorize words mechanically. Instead, you are creating mental images, adding creativity, and connecting information to places you already know. The more vivid, dramatic, or even funny your images are, the stronger the memory becomes. For example, if one of your vocabulary words is brave, imagine a strong warrior standing guard at your bedroom door holding a shiny sword. If another word is silent, imagine your living room transformed into a completely quiet library where everyone is whispering. The more unusual and emotional the image, the more likely it is to stay in your memory. This technique works for almost anything. You can remember vocabulary words, lists of numbers, formulas, names, historical events, or even long speeches. Let's say you want to memorize 10 vocabulary words. Instead of repeating them over and over, place each word in a different room of your house with a strong visual image. As you mentally walk from one room to another, the items appear naturally. Almost like magic. Your brain remembers the journey and the locations, and by association, it remembers the information perfectly. This turns learning into a creative, enjoyable process rather than a stressful task. Another advantage of the memorypalace method is that it is highly flexible. You can use your actual home, a school, your office, or even a park. Any place you know well can become a memory palace. You can expand it indefinitely by adding more rooms, more objects, or more floors. Each time you revisit your mental palace, the information becomes stronger and more organized. Unlike simple rote memorization, this method builds a structured mental network that your brain loves. You are not just storing information randomly. You are giving it a logical, memorable path that you can walk at any time. One of the best parts of this technique is that you do not need a naturally strong memory to start. The method itself makes your memory stronger. By using familiar spaces and turning information into vivid images, you leverage the brain's natural strengths. Even beginners can remember long lists, difficult words, or complicated information after just a few practice sessions. And as you practice more, you will notice that your mental images become sharper, your visualization skills improve, and your overall memory becomes faster and more reliable. The memorypalace method is not only effective, it is also fun. It turns learning into a creative adventure. You are no longer trying to memorize boring facts. Instead, you are walking through your own mental world, placing ideas and memories like treasures in a palace. Each journey becomes a unique story, each room a chapter, and each object a memory that will stay with you forever. With consistent practice, this technique can transform your ability to remember anything, whether it is for school, work, or personal growth. In short, the memorypalace method is a mental superpower. It uses imagination, spatial memory, and creativity to make learning natural and enjoyable. Anyone can do it, and anyone can get stronger memory by practicing it. Your house is not just a home. It is a palace for your mind waiting to hold your memories securely. Walk through it. Place your ideas and watch your memory grow beyond what you ever thought possible. Technique 7. Train your brain daily. Memory is not a fixed ability. It is a skill. And like any skill, it improves with consistent practice. Just as your muscles grow stronger when you exercise regularly, your brain becomes sharper, clearer, and more powerful when you train it every day. The key is not how long you practice, but how consistently you do it. Even a few minutes each day of deliberate mental training can have dramatic effects over time. Your brain loves stimulation, challenges, and activity. The more you challenge it, the stronger it becomes. The less you challenge it, the lazier and weaker it becomes. Daily practice is the cornerstone of building a memory that can store information reliably, recall it quickly, and connect ideas naturally. Training your brain does not mean sitting at a desk for hours or forcing yourself to memorize endless lists of information. It means engaging in small, meaningful activities that activate your mind. For example, you can practice remembering short lists of items, memorize 5 new words every day, read stories and recall the main ideas, or challenge yourself with memory games. Even simple activities such as recalling numbers or names after hearing them once, or repeating instructions in your mind count as brain training. These exercises, although small, provide essential stimulation that encourages your neurons to form new connections. Every time you recall, repeat, or visualize information, you strengthen the mental pathways that make memory efficient and reliable. Your brain thrives on challenges. When you give it a task that requires focus and attention, it becomes alert and active. When you stop giving it challenges, it becomes passive and forgetful. Think of it as a muscle. A muscle that is used daily grows stronger, but a muscle that is left unused weakens over time. Your brain responds in the same way. By exercising your memory consistently, even for just a few minutes a day, you gradually improve your ability to hold, process, and recall information. The cumulative effect is astonishing. A small daily habit compounds over weeks and months, resulting in a mind that feels more alive, agile, and capable. Every time you learn something new, your brain creates a new connection between neurons. This connection represents the pathway through which information travels and becomes stored. Every time you repeat that information, the connection strengthens, making it easier to access in the future. And every time you explain or apply that knowledge, you deepen the connection even further. This is why the techniques of focus, visualization, repetition, teaching, and association are so effective. They work together to create, strengthen, and reinforce these neural pathways. Daily brain training multiplies these effects, gradually transforming your memory from ordinary to extraordinary. Consistency is the secret. You do not need to force yourself into marathon study sessions. You only need a small, manageable practice every day. 5 minutes of intentional memory work is far more effective than 1 hour of distracted study once a week. The brain responds best to repeated, consistent stimulation, not to bursts of effort. Over time, these small practices become habits. Your brain adapts, grows stronger, and begins to perform tasks that once felt difficult with ease. You notice yourself remembering more details, recalling information faster, and understanding new ideas more deeply. Daily brain training also improves other cognitive skills beyond memory. When you practice attention, focus, visualization, and recall regularly, you naturally become more organized, more analytical, and more creative. You start thinking sharper. You connect ideas more efficiently. Your mind becomes more flexible and responsive. Just as athletes who train their bodies develop strength, endurance, and coordination, those who train their brains daily develop mental stamina, clarity, and agility. It is a transformation that affects every aspect of your learning and thinking. You do not need complex tools or expensive programs to train your brain. All you need is a willingness to engage your mind even for a short time every day. Keep a small notebook, set aside 5 to 10 minutes, and challenge yourself. Memorize a new word, recall a recent event, explain a lesson aloud, or visualize a series of objects. The more creative and engaged you are, the more your brain enjoys the challenge. Slowly but surely, these small actions accumulate. You begin to notice that remembering names, facts, or instructions becomes easier. You recall information faster. You think more clearly. Your mind feels sharper and more alive. Training your brain daily is not just about memory. It is about building a powerful, flexible, and reliable mind. It is about creating habits that support learning, understanding, and mental growth. A little every day is enough. It compounds into extraordinary results over time. By practicing consistently, you create a brain that is attentive, capable, and confident. You develop the ability to remember, recall, and apply knowledge with ease. Your memory becomes a natural extension of your mind, and your mind becomes a powerful tool for success in every area of life. Final words. Your memory is a muscle. My friend, remember this. Your memory is not weak. It is not failing because you are incapable or because your mind is limited. The truth is far more empowering. Your memory is untrained. Like any skill, it requires practice, the right techniques, and consistent habits. You do not need a special talent or a genius brain to have a strong memory. You only need to commit to training your mind in the right way. The techniques we have discussed are simple, practical, and powerful. Focus builds the foundation, allowing your mind to pay attention and absorb information fully. Visualization makes what you learn vivid, turning abstract ideas into unforgettable mental pictures. Repetition strengthens these ideas, reinforcing your memory like repeated exercises strengthen muscles. Teaching what you learn transforms knowledge into permanent understanding. Connecting new information to what you already know gives your memory context, meaning, and structure. Using the memorypalace method creates a mental map that makes recalling even large amounts of information easier than ever. And finally, daily training builds consistency, sharpening your memory gradually, making it reliable and powerful. Here on English Achievement, we believe in the potential of every mind. Your memory is not fixed. It can grow, expand, and improve just like a muscle in the gym. Even a few minutes of practice each day, if done consistently, can create incredible results. You will start noticing that you remember more details, recall information faster, and think more clearly. You will feel more confident in your learning and in your daily life. These 7 techniques, when practiced together, form a complete system to unlock the full potential of your memory. So do not wait. Your memory is waiting for you. Your mind is waiting to be strengthened. Start today. Train consistently. And watch as your memory transforms into a powerful tool that will serve you for a lifetime. Now is the time to unlock the true power of your. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more such videos. Thanks for watching.